Hi, my name's Kevin Mitchell, and I'm with Liberty Bugle Town Hall. And today I want to talk about a video that I'm going to present here that really explains that the climate change is a joke, and the joke is on us. And we need to start thinking in different terms and understanding the realities that are in front of us now before we've allowed the elite, woke people in this country and around the world to take away our rights, destroy our economies, and make us less of a people by somehow subjecting us to ridiculous laws and changes in our lifestyles. So let's watch this. I'll give a little commentary and we'll go from there.
Climate change is the cruelest of all woke jokes. A joke built on not one but two bizarre obsessions. The extreme obsession that the planet faces imminent destruction due to human activity, and the arrogant obsession that it is within our power to reverse this process. I'll get onto both of those obsessions in a moment. But it is a cruel joke because the proposed solutions required to tackle so-called global warming may well inflict unbearable pain and humiliation on those most vulnerable in our communities. It'll destroy livelihoods, destroy jobs, ruin communities, and is likely to inflict almost medieval hardships on our kids, as Nigel Farage was just saying. Almost on a daily basis, we are confronted with outlandish claims that have no basis in observable evidence, but rely on computer modelling. The same sort of fanciful modelling, by the way, that was so destructive during COVID. The UN, for example, is warning of heat waves beyond human limits to be expected within decades. The report, which is of course being released on the eve of next month's COP27 climate change gabfest in Egypt, postulates, quote, extreme temperatures that are predicted to exceed human physiological and social limits in the Sahel, in the Horn of Africa, and in South and Southwest Asia. This existential crisis to our social limits, whatever that means, is based on a projected warming of 2 to 2.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. This will trigger, quote, large-scale suffering and loss of life, claims the report. Scary. And the solution for this problem? A logical person might think, well, build some dams to get more water there, or get more cheap and reliable energy into these places for refrigeration and air conditioning and so on. But no, if you're part of the climate change cult-like obsession, you immediately think the only way to tackle this problem is if we return to the Stone Ages and destroy our energy-dependent way of life. But the relentless climate change obsession now never stops, day in, day out. But who actually decides what the science is? Well, it turns out that science is now a commodity that can be bought and sold. And you can own it if you're wealthy and powerful enough. And who might that be? Why, the globalists of big tech and the World Economic Forum, of course. Here's the United Nations Under-Secretary for Global Communications blithely announcing how she and her big tech buddies now own the science.
Now, real quickly, I want you to listen to this and really understand from what this woman is going to say is what the truth is. The global elites believe that they own the science and they have the right to determine what information comes to us. And what's even worse is that Google agrees with them. And they have gone through an agreement. They have worked this out so that all the information that the UN puts out on global warming, climate change, is at the top of every Google search relative to climate change. And now they do own the science. And we have very little ability to actually put out dissenting voices, voices of reason, to challenge that narrative. And it's part of the whole media cabal to bring this information, force this information to us, so that we have to accept it. And so many people will, because they don't think about this stuff. So please, listen to what she's going to say right here.
we partnered with Google, for example. If you Google climate change, you will, at the top of your search, you will get all kinds of UN resources. We started this partnership when we were shocked to see that when we Googled climate change, we were getting incredibly distorted information right at the top. So we're becoming much more proactive. We own the science, and we think that the world should know it, and the platforms themselves also do. But again, it's a huge challenge that I think all sectors of society need to be very active in.
Do you hear that? We own the science, and the world should know that. That's what we're dealing with.
So don't believe what you see on Google, because they've rigged the game already. There you go. I've got a new slogan for Klaus Schwab and his mates. Quote, "You will own nothing and you will be happy, but we will own everything, including the science, and be even happier." But if the announcements made yesterday at the Financial Review's Climate and Energy Summit, well done for holding that, are anything to go by, we are rapidly approaching the punchline. And it's about as funny as a jackass vomitorium contest. On the same day that our Energy Minister Chris Bowen, a character so absurd that even the Three Stooges would have found he defied suspension of disbelief, on the same day that Bowen stood by his claim that our electricity bills will fall by $275, good one, Chris, a real side slap of that, which was a key Labor election promise repeated relentlessly throughout the campaign, we learn from the energy bosses themselves that they expect your electricity bills to rise and rise and rise by over 35% next year. Ba-boom. What a sick joke that is. We've already seen the destruction of so many small businesses, shops, cafes and so on go out of business during COVID. We've seen all the boarded up shop fronts in places like Sydney's Oxford Street. A rise in electricity bills of that magnitude will decimate small businesses. It will destroy tradies and families across Australia. At the same time, the entitled classes will be coining it in, as they did during COVID. Woohoo! Much like an obsession with a pop group or an obsession with pets or anything else, the climate change obsession starts in the right place, with a love of the beauties of nature and an appreciation of the wonders of this earth. All of us who appreciate the natural environment would love to see waterways, especially in the third world, cleared of plastic garbage and bottles and chemicals, and the air and land free of disgusting pollution. And indeed, that's where all our efforts should be spent. But they are not. Quite the opposite. As I shall reveal in a second, one of the world's greatest plastic polluters of rivers and seas is sponsoring the next climate change conference. The big lie that has been drummed into a generation of school kids is that somehow by reducing carbon emissions, we magically clean up garbage and pollution, if only. The reality, as Ian Plimer points out in The Spectator Australia next week, is that the renewables industries are themselves responsible for destroying the natural environment through the massive increase in mining for rare earth minerals needed to produce wind turbines, solar panels, batteries and so on, responsible for the sterilisation of the natural lands they are built on, as well as leaving future generations with a terrifying waste disposal problem of leaching chemicals and hard to dispose of scrap metals as solar panels and windmills and batteries and all the rest of it reach the end of their natural cycles, life cycles, and have to be replaced. It will be the very same kids who are now so earnestly pleading for renewables who will be the ones who inherit this horrendous mess. Unhealthy obsessions lead to self-destructive behaviour. When we are obsessed by something, we tend to let all other considerations fall by the wayside. Closing down our major sources of baseload reliable and non-weather dependent energies, such as closing down our biggest coal mine, Victoria's Loy Yang, with nothing remotely comparable to replace it, is a folly that is almost beyond comprehension. 27, the Climate Change Conference next month, is being held at the luxurious Sharm el-Sheikh on the Red Sea, where the gas-guzzling jets and private jets and mega luxury yachts will all be lined up in order to save the planet. Chief sponsor of COP27 is that well-known philanthropic and arguably the world's worst plastic polluter, none other than Coca-Cola, whose bottles and cans litter the planet. On top of which there's the massive carbon emission from all that refrigeration needed for your soft drinks. Plus, are the lovies aware that every standard bottle of Coke emits 6 grams of carbon? Here's a clue. It's in the bubbles. So forget Coke Zero. How about they launch Coke Net Zero, the one without any bubbles? They could simply call it Coke Flat.
So there you have it. It's amazing when logic comes before us, and we have to really accept the fact that climate change is a joke, and the joke's on us, and it's on everybody in this world that is paying taxes. Look at Europe right now. They in their rush to go to a green energy source, they destroyed or shut down all of their other energy production and became dependent upon Russia. And now that that's cut off, they're in big trouble. And even closer to home, look at California. California shut down their nuclear plants. They shut down other energy production in favor of green energy production, and it doesn't work. We just saw rolling blackouts. And the fact that now they have to restart some of their nuclear facilities in order to create the energy necessary to run the state. So again, climate change is a joke. The joke is on us. And we need to change that now and start getting back to a real life with real energy and driving an economy that works for everyone. Thanks very much. Talk to you soon.